not spot, she's about ready to do the introductions.
Hello, I am and I am the head judge for the Battle of the Books competition. We're at the opening ceremonies. We're ready for a very fun weekend.
Hello to our audience joining us live stream, and welcome to everyone here. Welcome to our 6th annual Battle of the Books competition. We are thrilled to have all of you here. And as always, making sure I'm right where I'm supposed to be standing. As always, we're thrilled to have you here on our campus. And we are going to start with the performance for tonight and the opening ceremony so that we can get you to the Magic Morgan Show later on this evening. So to start, I am Jessie Saunders, and I am the Director of Youth Programs here at Gallaudet. And we have great staff that are working with me. I can't do it without their help. So I'd like to introduce them to you now. We have Andrew, the Coordinator of Youth Programs here at Gallaudet, here in the front. And then we also have several student workers, starting with Casey Johnson right over here. That is Casey Johnson Pasqua. So she's done a great job thus far. We also have Taylor Newman over here. I don't know if you remember the famous bloopers video that everybody gets excited for. I haven't seen the one for this year. Taylor's the one who made it. She hasn't shown me any of that footage. I'm a little bit concerned with what my part in that is, but we'll have to wait and see on Monday night. And then Javier Maldonado. I don't think that Javier is here. I would like to introduce more individuals, but we'll do that a little bit later in the evening. So to get started, we're going to start with all of you, the National Battle of the Books competition teams. So you have battled it out, and you've now earned the right to be here at the national competition. So you need to pat yourself on the back for a job well done in getting yourselves here. So we are going to start with the buff teams. When I call your team, please stand up so that you can be recognized. And we are going to start with the California School for the Deaf in Fremont. Please stand to be recognized. Congratulations for making it this far. California School for the Deaf in Riverside. We also have the Metro Deaf School. Northwest Maryland. Phoenix Day School for the Deaf is here. We also have Rochester School for the Deaf. And the Texas School for the Deaf. The Wisconsin School for the Deaf. And now for our blue teams. Again, when you call your team, please stand to be recognized. The California School for the Deaf in Fremont. The California School for the Deaf in Riverside. The Kendall Demonstration Elementary School. Indiana School for the Deaf. New Mexico School for the Deaf. The Phoenix Day School for the Deaf. Smithfield Middle School. Venado Middle School. And we have a green team. Those who won the prelims and won their division. That is Wisconsin School for the Deaf. Job well done. We'll introduce some important individuals who've been working with Battle of the Books, starting with our youth programs ambassadors. So if you are here in the room, please stand to be recognized. Stay where you are. I'll be introducing each of them. We have DT over here. Sheilyn. We also have Bethany, Malik, Stefania, Alec, Pablo, Tyler, Nabila, and did I miss anyone else? No, you got everybody. We have Briella, who will be introducing later on, but I think that that's everyone. Now I'll introduce our head judge, the one that you need to make sure that you kowtow to for this weekend. Vivian, can you come on up to introduce yourself to the audience?
Well, everybody, I like chocolate, just so you know, if you're looking for something to give me. Anyway, yes, I am Vivian Schroeder, the head judge. And is that all you need from me? All right. Okay, so there are some changes this year in terms of what you do in the final round. For those of you who come previous years, you're probably familiar with what we do. So there are 4 books this year, and that means there are 4 questions for each match in the 3rd round. You would think, but actually there are going to be 4 books and only 3 questions and 3 players. We don't want to have one player answer twice, so each player will answer once. The questions will be in random order, and they will be from one of the 4 books. You won't know until the match which books the questions are from. So you will be able to watch the video once. You will only see it again one time in ASL. Then you can have a conversation with your team, and if you're not sure of which questions were asked, or if you don't remember, you can look to the printout of the questions that's at your table, and you can decide who's answering questions 1, 2, and 3. Everybody clear on the rules? Just want to make sure the teams understand what they're in for. Looks like everybody. One more thing, sorry. I am incredibly excited to introduce Dr. Roz Rosen. She is an author of one of the books for the Blue Division. Who's in the Blue Division? All right, those of you on the blue team, did you enjoy the Deaf Culture Fairy Tales book? It's great for you to be able to see these classic stories from a deaf perspective, as well as some original stories talking about the deaf community. So I'd like to invite Roz up to share a few words, some words of wisdom if she can. Hello, everyone. It's great to see all of you. Thank you, Vivian. I've met some of you already. Some of you I may know your parents or your grandparents. That's how ancient I am. I may even know some of your great-grandparents. It is an incredible honor to be here with all of you, and I want to applaud you for your hard work and all that you've done to get to this point. It's a very exciting time. I was born and raised in New York City. My parents are deaf, my brother's deaf, and my parents never attended college and did go through some high school, but they made sure that I was able to become bilingual. My parents made sure that I had access to books. They read me bedtime stories when I was really little. They read to both my brother and I, and they would fingerspell words to us and sign words to us so that we would learn new vocabulary. Eventually, I started reading on my own. So my parents had taught me to read, but then I was able to learn to read on my own. So tell me first, what is the tallest building in the world? Does anyone know?
Isn't it Dubai?
No? Anyone else? Yep, someone in the back got it right. All right, I think you'll do very well tomorrow. All right, I say that it's the library, and maybe you wonder how it could be, but the library really has more stories than any other building in the world. That makes it the tallest building. I hope that those of you who've seen my presentation before remember this, and I'm sure some of you have thought about this idea. I've presented this to many adults and they haven't been able to figure out that riddle. So I would say that getting my library card was the best present I ever received. And I'm a really walking relic. When I was growing up, there was not captioned television. And there was a show called Howdy Doody that was on television that I could watch, but you couldn't lip read that. reading those puppets was impossible. So I didn't watch television much growing up. I stayed at the School for the Deaf during the week, and on the weekend I would borrow books from the library and devour them. I grew up an avid reader, and I enjoyed all types of stories. I enjoyed fiction and nonfiction. I enjoyed mysteries, adventures, whodunits, romance novels. I read all types of books. But even through all of the books that I read, and as much as I enjoyed them, I was disappointed to never see a deaf perspective. My people were never represented. My community was not represented in any of the books that I was reading. My culture and my language wasn't there, and I felt a disconnect. So I'm now retired. I worked at Gallaudet for over 30 years, and then I moved to California and worked at Cal State University Northridge for 9 years. And then I retired fully, and I've had since then much more time to write, and I knew I wanted to become an author. I didn't have the time to do that during my career. And in considering where to start, I knew that I wanted to go back to looking at fairy tales. Many of us love the classics, love fairy tales, we love Disney movies. But we haven't had a deaf perspective in those, so I decided to take a deaf take on fairy tales, and that's how this book came to be. The illustrator in my book is also a deaf woman from China. And the publishers that worked with me are also deaf. That was the publishing company I worked with is owned by Trudy Suggs, who lives in Frederick, Maryland. So it was 3 deaf women who were able to come together and create this book for all of you. And we all also were Gallaudet graduates, as it happened. It's wonderful to be able to work together with other deaf women. I hope that you've enjoyed the book, and I'm looking forward to the battle beginning for all of you quite soon. I hope that you get a good night's sleep tonight. Don't go partying or anything like that. Make sure you get a good night's sleep and that you're ready to go and fresh in the morning. Look forward to seeing you then. I am selling copies of my book, and we'll be selling them in the morning as well. If you'd like them autographed, I'll be autographing them all tomorrow morning. Good luck to everyone.
Thank you for those inspiring remarks. All right, moving on. Who likes numbers and statistics? I really enjoy them. So we're going to be talking to you about some of the statistics as it relates to getting you all here. So we're going to look to see who's traveled the furthest and who's traveled the shortest. So there are 3 teams that have traveled the furthest. And we're going to start with the 3rd furthest. Who do you think that is? Fremont, Arizona?
TSD, Riverside.
Venado, Riverside. So let's see who traveled. The 3rd team that traveled the furthest was California School for the Deaf in Riverside. I know the miles aren't very different. Who do you think that was the 2nd team to travel the furthest?
Fremont.
Some are saying Fremont, some are saying Venado. Venado. Who does that leave then? Who do you think got 1st place in terms of traveling the furthest? That is, of course, California School for the Deaf and Fremont. So we checked Google Maps to make sure that we knew the actual miles that you traveled to get here. Now let's see who traveled the least. Well, the 3rd least. Who do we think is 3rd in terms of traveling the least? Wisconsin, Rochester, Maryland, Rochester. Let's see. It is Rochester School for the Deaf. All right, who's the 2nd team to travel least? Maryland, Indiana. Let's see who got 2nd place. Northwest Maryland, about 57.7 miles. So then that leaves the Demonstration School for the Deaf, which is a short distance walk from here, 0.4 miles. All right, so for registration, I know that people were competing to be the 1st team to register to get into the competition. Let's see who got in first. Well, let's actually, who do you think that it is? Who do you think got first for registering for the competition? Riverside, Fremont, chaperones from Fremont and Riverside, and see these are high expectations that people have of you. Let's see who got first. Ooh, it was a tie. Let's see what time it was. So we started at noon, which means that at 0.01 seconds right after 12 p.m., you registered your team. And let's see who that was. It was a Riverside, New Mexico School for the Deaf, Indiana School for the Deaf, and Texas. For Fremont, sorry you didn't make it. I don't know where you are. Maybe you can try again next year to be the fastest team to register. I think people are disappointed in that. Maybe they got into some trouble or they lost their focus. Anyway, now how many years of experience do you think that you all have in being a part of Battle of the Books? Who's a first-year member for being in the Battle of the Books competition who's never competed before in Battle of the Books? Okay. All right. Who is it their second year competing? All right. Now stand up if it's your third year of competing in Battle of the Books. All right, have a seat. And then are there any 4-year Battle of the Book players that are competing? Not necessarily at the national competition, but it could have been a regional competition. So congratulations for those of you who stood for being fourth year players. So how many of you are chaperones that have been involved with this for quite some time, having to put up with all these students? Man, we feel sorry for you. So let's look to see the number of years that you've been working as a chaperone. So first, let's have all of you stand. All right, so then we're going to see a number appear on the screen. We'll start with 1. So we'll have you all stand because you've already completed a year. And then once it gets to the number that you have not yet done, then we'll have you take a seat. So still stand if you've been doing this for 3 years now. Still have some people standing. This is your 4th year. Who's been doing it for 5 years now? So we have 2 people who are still standing. I know that you've been doing it the entire time. So let's get to the 6th year. You both are still standing. Fremont and Rochester have been competing for 6 years. Congratulations. So now I'm going to ask you which of was your favorite book from this year, depending on which division you're in. So we're going to start with the Buff division. Whose favorite book is Code Talker? There's about 4, 5, or 6 of you. Gracefully Grayson? 6 or so. 5 with Code Talker. How about Loving versus Virginia? 6 again. Oh, 7. Okay. See you in the Cosmos. I think that one wins. See you in the Cosmos. We'll have to note that was the book favorite. It was a pretty cool book. All right, so now for the Blue division. Deaf Culture Fairy Tales. Let's see. How many of you had that for your favorite book? About 6. House Arrest. 10. Stargirl. About 8 of you. And then the last book, The Castle in the Mist. There's about 7. So I would say the winner is House Arrest. Okay, I have to note that. So now let's see what your favorite genre is. It could be fiction, it could be nonfiction, historical fiction, romance. So raise your hand if you love this particular genre, and you can raise your hand as many times as you'd like. How many of you like nonfiction? You like to read books regarding facts? I have 10 of you. How about fantasy? No, everybody has their hands up. That's everyone. How about romance? Okay, there are a few of you. chaperones, you don't count. Don't raise your hand. This is about the students. All right, for those of you who are students who like romance novels, not that many of you. We'll have to give away some of the romance novels. Okay, moving on to horror. Good, a lot of you. And then graphic novels. Yep, many of our students as well. Okay, which means maybe for next year we'll have to do a little bit of fantasy, horror, graphic novels. We'll have to do away with the romance novels. I don't think that we'll have any of those anyway. All right. So just to remind you of who's in which pool and who you'll be competing with tomorrow and then on Monday. For the Stonewall pool, for the the blue division, we have Fremont, we have Riverside, we have Kendall, and we have Smithfield. For the Belpre pool, we have Indiana, New Mexico, Phoenix Day School, and Venado Middle School. And then for the Newberry pool, this is the Buck division. We have Riverside, we have Phoenix, we have Texas, and we have Wisconsin. Then for the Prince pool, this is the Buck division. We have Fremont, we have the Metro Deaf School, we have Northwest Maryland, and we have Rochester. So now you know who you'll be competing with. We've announced this before, but this is just serving as a reminder. And then the competition rooms, do you know where to go? I don't want you to be sitting in the wrong room waiting for other people to show up and being in the wrong place. There's a map in your program book, but you can also talk to some of the other team members if you're new, so you should know where those are. Swindells Auditorium is the first floor in the hotel. If you go in the front door, it's past the elevators. The elevators are to your left. There's a larger auditorium there on the main floor. We also have the old gym, which is another competition room. You know why it's called gym like this? Because the way that it's spelled here is the way that it's pronounced and sounds similar to the way that you would say gymnasium. It used to be the old gymnasium here in our campus, the first indoor swimming pool, and now it's the alumni house, so you'll definitely love being in that building. We also have our Gallaudet Museum, so you can take a look at some of the history while you're there in that room. And then we also have the multi-purpose room, which is the room that we're in right now, otherwise known as the NPR. So now you know where the competition rooms are, you know where this one room is, so you shouldn't get lost. There's really no excuse for you to not know where you are now. And now moving on to talking about some of the rules. So obviously you need to have rules, because if without them, things would be utter chaos. So we're going to talk to you about what some of those rules are now. First, stay with your team, your coach, at all times. Like minions, don't wander off. You have to communicate with your coach where you're going to be. You want your chaperones to know where you are at all times. And this is my favorite. Be on time, people. Be on time for your matches and for any competition or any event. All right, who's seen this movie before? Home Alone. Yeah. So don't be too wild. Make sure that you behave with respect and courtesy for others. Yeah. Don't do that. So again, respect the property. If there's a hole in the wall, you will be fined for that. If there's destruction of property, you'll have to pay the consequence, and the money for paying for any damages will come out of your pocket. So don't do anything like this. So there are people who have different levels of fluency with ASL. There's some people who don't know ASL at all. So we want to respect how people choose to communicate. There will be teams that will be using interpreters, so just be mindful of that. No sneaking into any other dorm for the opposite gender. So the girls can't be in the boys' room, the boys can't be in the girls' room. That's the reason why we've separated you out by floor. So each floor has a particular gender. And this is important. Do not lock the latch, because in the hotel room, and I want you all to nod your heads that you understand this, do not use the safety latch on the hotel door. So in the event of a fire, there are a few emergency exits. You have it here in this building, which is right around the corner, this Wendell's Auditorium. There are several different ways that you can get out of the hotel and out of the auditorium. Old Gym also has a couple of exits. And if you're in the hotel, there are different wings. There's stairwells for each particular wing of the hotel that will lead you downstairs and then outside the building. But, you know, it might not happen, but just you never know. So we wanted you to be mindful of that. And, of course, drink a lot of water. So you can use the water fountain or the water that's over at the hotel to fill your bottles because you all have water bottles. Here we'll have something in the hospitality room for you to be able to fill up your water bottles. So again, you'll have water available for you. Stay hydrated throughout the competition. Don't be like this cat. And make sure that you know your schedule. So tonight we have the magic show, and then you'll be heading to the hotel. I know that a lot of you are tired. And for curfew, for those of you who've been here before, you know what my sign is for curfew? It's like this. Do you know why it's like this? You know, I'm serious when I sign it that way, because even if you were to peek your head outside the door, I have an axe, and I am going to come through and chop your head off. And you're going to make a mess. So is that clear? Do not go out of your hotel room at all, or you'll get the axe. But on a serious note, so if you are found outside of your room after curfew, your team could be sent home. And you will lose any privileges of competing in the competition. So again, please stay in your room after curfew. Who gets this rule? Everyone understand? All right, great. Moving on to Sunday's schedule. You have breakfast in the morning in the cafeteria, starting at 7:30 tomorrow. You also have ASL trivia that will be happening on tomorrow as well. You'll have dinner in the cafeteria at 5:30. You also have different social activities to be able to do over at the field house. You have dodgeball, rock climbing. For dodgeball, it's students against students, but I think it's more fun when we do students versus chaperones, right? The chaperones are required to play. Playing is mandatory. Including you here in the front. Yes, you have to. All right, so moving on to Monday's schedule, you have breakfast in the morning. You have the matches, then 11:45, you'll have your luncheon at the cafeteria. The families, if you haven't signed up for that, please do sign up. There's more information in the parent packet where you should sign up and how to communicate that information with our headquarters. You can talk to Casey, who's there in the back, and raise your hand so that people know who you are, Casey. Go and see her if you want to sign up for the family luncheon. So you have the Blue Championship match happening at 1, you have the Buff Championship at 2:30. You also are going to go to Flight Zone, or the Fly Zone. Then that will be after dinner, so the bus will take you there. And then curfew will be at 11 on Monday. And then on Tuesday, it'll be time to say goodbye. But we're just going to wait until that day comes, and we'll focus on the fun weekend that we are about to have. So good luck, everyone. And there's one thing that we wanted to do. Make sure that you do get your cupcakes and come back, because there's going to be a special announcement. So go and get your cupcakes, and again, do the single file. Don't all rush at the table. So go, all the players first, go and get your cupcakes, and then come back and have a seat.